was really interested in something that our next guest had to say on Twitter recently, and really any opportunity that we have to catch up with our next guest is one that we like to take. He is a legendary former Orioles closer, our friend Mr. Zack Britton, and he is back with us now here on GCR. Zack, it's Glenn. It's great to catch up with you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us this afternoon. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Zack, it was interesting. I don't know if there was any one particular thing. I'm sure you're aware. Obviously, your brother's here. You follow the Orioles still. But there's a lot of hubbub in recent months. Mike Bordick, Ben McDonald had some things to say about analytics. What inspired your post? Was it any of this conversation? Was it something that you saw? Like, what led to what it was that you wanted to say about where, like, old school and new school are kind of meeting each other in this moment?
Yeah, I think that it's something that now that I stopped playing, I get the opportunity to watch a bunch of different games. And, I think being able to not just watch one team and kind of pick through, like you see the game as a whole and you kind of understand that there's a lot of things going on where it comes to like fundamentals or how analytics are kind of used throughout the game right now. And when the game starts, it's really hard as someone that played to implement a lot of the things that the data shows you pregame. At some point as a player, as you mature as a player, you got to understand kind of what the game that day dictates that you do. And it might be something that is a little bit outside the box, maybe something that's not like you drew it up pregame. So it's a lot of that. It's not necessarily the Orioles. Obviously the Orioles have had their struggles, but overall, I think it's just like the game as a whole.
I feel like it's relevant for us, Zack, because we're trying to figure out why no one's going to hit 300 anymore, right? Why it seems like there's a lot of guys that are swinging for home runs, and this is not unique to Baltimore. It's obviously throughout baseball. And the easy thing for a lot of people to say is, well, this is the analytics era, to use the word analytics as some sort of like boogeyman. Whereas, as we all know, the concept of analytics is simply data, right? It's just information. That any data point is an analytic, if you will. This era of baseball and the way that particularly offensive players have changed their approach, has it been uniquely bad? Is it something that we only complain about when it's our team that's struggling and there's always going to be a point at which your team is, every team's going to struggle at some point? Or do the people that flip out about it, do they miss something about the value of that data and why maybe offensive baseball has changed?
Yeah, you're right, 100%. It's all just data, right? And you can pick and choose what you want to use. And I think that's the idea. I think ultimately most front offices would love the players to be able to pick and choose what works for them and then apply it and it help them in their performance. I mean, ultimately that's what it is. I went, when I was with the Orioles, we didn't have that, right? We didn't have the iPads. We didn't have the access to data as easily. Like you would have to ask somebody in the front office to bring you down. I was actually having Scott Boras give me information because he had his own analytic department. When it came to like ground balls and like some of my positioning, I was wondering, I was giving up a lot of infield hits and I was wondering, what was kind of going on behind there? Was there a way for me to not give up so many infield hits? So and then I go to the Yankees where it's just like you have access to everything. Like on your iPad, there's people in the clubhouse that you can talk to. And the one thing that I know about analytics, and it's such a contentious thing, and I had a bunch of fans coming at me thinking that I was like bashing analytics, and like there's just no way that you can, I think, get everything across when you're talking on social media, and that's kind of the problem. Like, and the problem is too, it's either you're 100% in it or you're against it, right? And the reality is that's not true at all. And I think most people that you talk to would agree that it's a balance. But like I said, it's all data. It's about how you use it. When it comes to offense, I mean, slug is what most teams are looking for. Now the Rays aren't doing that. And the one thing that I know from playing for a really long time is the game goes through these waves of like, this is hot, everyone's going to go do it. And then somebody starts doing something else and has success. And then everyone flocks to doing that. And it's just this thing of like, it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so eventually maybe slug won't be the thing. They're going to be like, hey, contact, or just getting guys on base, stealing bases. Maybe the game will evolve back to that. I wouldn't be surprised. But right now, slug is what they want the hitters to do. They want the guys to hit for power. Just hitting a single through the hole, when it comes to, the data, isn't as beneficial as a guy that can slug. Like, home runs are so important because it's a quick way to get runs across. So, yeah, I mean, guys are tailoring their swings to that because they know it's valuable. It's how they get to the big leagues. And then you get to the big leagues, and pitchers are really good and know that data too. And so pitchers can pitch, I think, more effectively when they know guys are just trying to slug rather than when they're trying to make contact. And I know, like, unless you've been out on the mound and like have studied the hitters, for a guy like me that was a sinker baller, like, try to hit a home run all day. That was like the guys I loved to face.
Yeah, by
like,
all means. Yeah.
Give me the best power hitters in the game all day. It was the guys that like slapped the ball or would just make contact that really gave me fit. But yes, the hitters they're being taught that. I mean, it just throughout the game. And I think the Rays are the outlier right now. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, is this sustainable, right? But yes, the hitters, that's what they're being taught, and that's what they're being rewarded on. And so you fault the hitter to an extent, like I would as a player. I would say, hey, guys, like, let's make an adjustment. Like, we're hitting 200. Like, we're not getting on base that much, and like every now and then we're hitting a home run. Like, that's not sustainable. That's not how you're going to stay in the big leagues for a really long time.
I feel like, Zach, in particular here, the conversation is surrounded like Gunnar Henderson, who we raved about when he arrived because he just seemed like a professional hitter. And this year, look, when he's hitting home runs, he hit 2 the other night, right? Like, it's incredibly helpful, but it has felt like it has become more of this all or nothing. And it's easy for me to say because, I want the Orioles to do well, right? I'm an Orioles fan, so it's easy for me to say, hey, stop doing that. Whereas somebody else might say, right, but if he hits 40 home runs, somebody might pay him $50 million a year to play baseball. So I don't know how to handle this conversation because some of it also I think is undoubtedly just what I'm used to, and I'm still the guy that's obsessed with looking at somebody's batting average on the back of a baseball card, whereas no number of people within this organization would tell me, Glenn, why do you still even bother to look at batting average? We don't even talk about batting average. To your point, it's slug or obviously OPS.
Yeah, but right. And like, absolutely. It's hard to fault like a guy like Gunnar Henderson because I know that he's being rewarded on slug and home runs, right? And ultimately, these guys are trying to get these big contracts, and that's how you get the big contracts right now. But then you go ahead and you watch like a guy like, let's just say Judge, just because I know him really well. Mm-hmm. Like, he's hitting for average and slug. So like there's a little bit like there's also a sense of pride. I know with Aaron that like he wants to have a good batting average. I know it's not weighted that much and like people wouldn't care, but like there's a sense of pride I feel like as a player that at some stage you would hope that some of these guys go, okay, like when I look up on the screen and I see I'm hitting like 200, 220, like it should kind of be like a little bit embarrassed. Like I'm better than that. I know like it's not the end all be all, and it's not. ERA is not the end all be all either. Like there's other things you can look at to support whether or not a pitcher's doing well or getting lucky or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, the game is simple, and this is kind of what I said. It's about scoring runs when you're on offense. Like no matter how you do it, it can be home runs one day, it could be moving runners across, stealing bases one day, and then when you're pitching, it's run prevention and same thing on defense. Like the game is. That's an oversimplification of it, but to win each game, you just got to find a way to be the best at that, right? And so there should be moments where, like you're saying, and I think with the Orioles in general, they're going to win games traditionally. They're going to win games by playing good defense, by pitching, by hitting home runs. Like you don't go the whole season and win, only win one way. Well, I mean, and I guess if you do, then you're not going to be very good. But, like at some stage, you got to be like, how do I win today? And then as hitters, you got to take some pride in, I don't want to strike out 200 times. Like putting the ball in play and making the defense, play defense is valuable. Being able to move a guy across when maybe I'm not feeling great in the box, I'm not seeing that pitcher like that great, and I banned in the slug. I'm like, hey, I'm just going to try to move this guy over. I'm going to try to slap a single. Like being able to do that is still really valuable, and that's actually how these guys play a long time. I played a really long time, and I was really good at throwing my sinker, but if I just relied on that pitch and didn't adapt, I wouldn't have played 12 years. And the guys that I know for a fact play 10 plus years, they evolve as their career goes on, and they find a way to win that day. It's not always pretty. And that's the one thing. I see a lot of guys, the careers are pretty short right now overall.
That's true.
And I think that has something to do with it. Guys are less willing to adapt. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe, is it the minors and, how you're developing guys and what you're telling guys is valuable. But ultimately, when you get to the big leagues, you have to be able to fight and claw and win, because ultimately that's what teams want. They want guys that can win, help them win, and produce.
He is Zack Britton. He has a new newsletter out. It's called The Save. We're going to let him tell us a little bit more about that in just a minute. Zack, because we can't solve all of these problems, let's dive into something that we can definitely, you and I, solve within the next 5 minutes, which is the labor situation. Obviously, you and I can handle that, no problem. And I know you are very experienced in this department. You saw the news this week of the offer and the salary cap and the salary floor. I know you and I have talked before about why you don't believe a salary cap makes sense and why the players won't go for it. Is there anything about this initial offer that you think is even a conversation starter? Or do you feel like this is one the players are just going to look at and say, get back to us when you're really ready to talk?
Well, I think I'm not surprised that they, actually made a formal offer of the salary cap. When we were negotiating the last CBA, it got brought up, but I can't remember. I don't think they ever officially offered one. And we shut it down pretty early, and there was a lot of other things that, we wanted to discuss, they wanted to discuss at the same time. So it kind of got put on the back burner. So to see it now, which, like I said, it's not surprising because it's kind of been talked about a lot. But it was interesting to see, the number that they put for the floor, the number that they put for the ceiling. And then to me, the 50-50 revenue split is interesting. And a lot of people were like, oh my God, I can't believe all the owners agreed to do this. And you're like, well, it doesn't take every owner. I think they only need to get 23 owners to approve an agreement. So it's like, that's the whole idea. It's not like everyone's always on board
in that group, right? We can
exactly. Because if I'm the Dodgers and the Yankees, and I'm not going to speak for them, but I've been in the room negotiated across from those teams, and I feel like they're on their little island, and then you have the mid small market teams that are on their own little island, and they're all it's like anything, they group together, right? And so you got to get that group, and then you got to get this group.
Is 50-50 revenue enough to talk about a salary cap, though, right? Is that the argument from some is that, hey, in the end, we've done this math, it leads to more money being spent on baseball players, and this should be viewed as a good thing. Is a 50-50 revenue split enough, or is it just going to continue to be, no matter what you're offering, if it involves the word salary cap, we're not going to talk about it?
I think that so it would, the 50-50 revenue, I mean, we could talk about it all day, but so it would depend on how they define baseball related income, right? And in the other leagues, I don't want to act like what I'm saying is 100% factual because I'm just kind of spitballing, but based on kind of the information I had in the past, I think these leagues started out around a 50-50 split. And then it doesn't really work out to where that's what they're getting. Sometimes they're probably in the 47, 48%. So it's not really oh, you're guaranteed the 50-50. There's a lot of things, the way that they interpret it.
But to me, it was interesting because I had mentioned that after the 2028 season, MLB did a really good job of timing up a lot of these TV contracts to expire at the same time. So they have this bucket now to finally like auction out of basically all these games. And like you still get obviously the Dodgers and the Yankees. You're going to have to figure out how you can get them on board with packaging their networks into just like a huge MLB deal. But that could be a massive, just an absolutely massive TV deal, and team valuations will go through the roof. So if I was ever going to like negotiate a revenue split, if I was the players, I would take that into account. Now, if I'm the owners, I want a cap because then that puts, like everything's more defined, like how much I'm going to spend, how much I'm going to keep. And that's what ultimately drives up valuations, right? It's like cost certainty. So I think there's an avenue where honestly, like I wouldn't give any trade secrets, but there's an avenue to where owners could get probably like some type of cap without calling it a cap.
Okay. Whatever. I don't know what another term could be for that, right? Like
right. Without like calling it a cap, right?
Yeah.
I think there's way like the deferred money, like making that actually like count as present day value, would be a start.
Okay.
There's a bunch of, I think there's ways for them to get, I think, the more of cost certainty than what they have now, which ultimately I think is what they want. But at the same time, I think the players, the argument is like, I know the argument is why can't we just get the teams that aren't spending to spend more?
Yeah,
and
give us the floor. Right. Yeah. The floor.
Yeah. The truth is because like revenue sharing dollars are supposed to go towards roster improvement, right? But it's really broad, the language. So a lot of teams will put that in like a Dominican facility. They'll put it into minor league facility. They'll put it into maybe improving their analytics staff, and they can just say, "Hey, man, like
that's the point that we're trying to do it for roster improvement.
We're improving, like we're using them to improve our thing." But the intention was for that to actually go back into your major league roster.
Yep.
And so, like the union files grievances all the time, like when they feel like teams aren't, honoring that, but the language is too broad. I feel like you need to tighten that language, and that would immediately add some more dollars going to MLB rosters. So there's little things, and a lot of the stuff, when you get behind closed doors, the conversations are so different than, you leak to the media like what you want the media to know, right?
Yep, because it sounds good. Yeah, 100%. Like a lot of us look at that and say, "Hey, that looks pretty reasonable," Like,
right, both sides.
Maybe they're the good guys. Maybe they're the ones that we should be rooting.
Yeah. I mean, when I was doing this, like some of the people in the media would call and ask, and I would tell them like the things that I felt like they should know. And it's like I'm not going to tell them all the stuff.
Right.
But yeah, so I think there's some avenues there that. The players can get what they want.
What I appreciate, though, is that you sound a little bit more encouraged. And when we've talked, you've seemed like it's just not a fait accompli that we're not going to have baseball in 2027. Like, you seem like perhaps there's somewhere at least that you're starting this to give us a chance to get this thing solved.
I think it's too important for, like I said, the upcoming TV deals in that negotiating period. I think it's really important for MLB to have that a majority of that season, if not the whole season next year. Fans are really interested in the game. Viewership's growing. Revenue. Don't quote me on this, but I think you can do the research. But I think I think since 2024.
Too much.
I know. I think since 2024, like baseball made more revenue than like the NBA.
Oh. Wow.
So like, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty confident. I think the year was 2024.
Hang on a second.
Either way.
I am looking to see if I can come up with that.
You have to Google this. But
you know what? Since 2024, or at least in 2024, I've got $12.1 billion for MLB and 11.6 for the NBA.
Okay,
look at you.
Yeah, wild.
Yeah, this is that. Dude, we could do this, as I tell you every time, we could do this for another hour, and I would be compelled by it.
I know. But they're doing well. The sport's doing well. Like there's things that are coming up for them that are important.
Don't screw it up.
Yeah, I just don't think it's like put your foot in the sand and be like, we want salary cap. And I think for the players, as we've shown before, I mean, I was on the group that voted no against this current CBA, and we got overruled by the player group. So, like, when the player group as a whole comes together, like, they can kind of do whatever they want. Like, the subcommittee is only 8 guys. And like I said, we unanimously voted no on this last CBA because we thought we could get it better, and we got overruled. So
that's interesting. Zach, real quick, can you give me a 30 seconds on the save and what people should be knowing about it as they go to sign up?
Yeah, it's basically what I'm doing right now, but I'm typing. It's just like, it's my way of, like, I don't want to set up a podcast. I want to talk about what I want to talk about when I want to talk about it. And I feel like it's just a better way for me to reach people. I can sit at my computer for a few days, type up, my thoughts, and then just shoot it out. And I really actually enjoy it because there's a lot of things that I've experienced or a lot of things I want to talk about. And it's just, to me right now, it's a better platform for me. And so I'm hoping people are enjoying it. I'm hoping more people want to read it. And I'm going to cover a lot of this CBA stuff in there. And then just things in general. I'm going to, talk about the draft and my draft experience and some of these prospects and just little things throughout my career or some inside stories and just a little bit of everything. But awesome. Yeah, it's just basically doing what I'm doing right now, just typing.
At Z Britton, and if you go there, it's pinned up there, so you can find it. It is that easy. It's called The Save, or go to thesavenewsletter.com as well. Next time, what I'm gonna do is one of these days, I'm just gonna say you get the entire show, and we're just gonna talk through everything at that point. Zack Britton, always appreciate you, brother. Thanks for hopping on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.